I was watching a video the other day about the phrase bill please and if it is polite or impolite. Imagine you're in a restaurant and you've finished eating, everyone you're with has finished eating, and you want to say, I would like the bill please, bill please. And they were trying to figure out if just the phrase bill please on its own is rude. Now, if you know much about British people, we would consider that rude because we like to add phrases around it. Could I please have the bill? Would you mind getting me the bill? Could we have the bill, please? We've finished. Could we get the bill? But it got me thinking about etiquette in a restaurant and what to say when you're in a restaurant. And so I decided to create this video, which is advanced conversation, or more specifically, complaining when you are in a restaurant. If you've ever been to your favorite place to eat and the food hasn't been quite right, or the table next to you is really loud, or the lights are really dark and you can't actually see the menu, here are some ways that you could complain about that situation. In a polite way, of course, in a polite and respectful manner. Hi, my name is Catherine. I'm a business English teacher and I work with intermediate to advanced level students. If this is your first time seeing me, be sure to hit subscribe. And if you want to take English lessons, definitely go and check out my website where you will find myself and a few other fantastic teachers ready to give you lessons. I also had a student who asked me recently if what she had said on the weekend was rude. She was in a situation where she didn't understand what was happening and she asked a question which got a reaction that she wasn't expecting. So she was worried that what she had said was rude. So maybe you've been in the same situation. Maybe you've wanted to politely complain about something, but the reaction is not one you've expected. The person seems upset or angry or disappointed. So first of all, let's go through some hand signals. Now, depending on which country you're in, which country you come from, and the culture and expectations in that country, the way you sign for the bill or the check is a little different. And in case you don't know what I mean by bill or check, it's when you've finished eating at a restaurant, or maybe you've just had drinks or a coffee and you want to pay. It's not one of those restaurants where you pay when you order. It's a restaurant where you sit down, the waiter or waitress comes to you, they take your order, and at the end you need to pay. We call this in British English a bill. That is the bill. In American English, that is the check. So when I'm referring to the bill or check, it's that piece of paper you get at the end of your meal that tells you exactly what you've eaten and how much it cost. So a very familiar one, and I think the one that I mostly do, is this, which is kind of funny, but it's signaling a piece of paper and me writing on the piece of paper, so a bill. Similarly to that, some people just sign in the air. You know, they're trying to get the waiter or waitress's attention, they get eye contact, and then they go, to demonstrate that you are signing a bill. Now, this is quite old-fashioned because, of course, now we do not really sign bills. We would usually pay with our card or Apple Pay or something similar. But, 10 years ago, it would be much more common that you would get the piece of paper, you sign your name to say, yes, this is the amount I agree to pay, and then you pay in cash or you write a check. So this is that demonstration of writing a check. So is this. Another one that some people like to do is kind of circle the entire table. So say you've gone to eat with 5 people and you get the waiter's attention and you want to signal, we're finished, we want to pay. And you make this motion to kind of suggest everyone here is finished. We want to round our total. Give us the total number. Bring us the piece of paper, the bill, the check that tells us how much we owe. What's the signal in your country? Sometimes people just mouth the words. I know my dad will go, which is his way of saying, can I have the bill? He just mouths the word bill, please. So when you want to complain about something, maybe something came out wrong. You ordered one thing and something else came out. Or you ordered something expecting it to be hot and it comes out cold. Or maybe there's too much salt in something, too much sugar in something. Something's not quite right with what you ordered. What can you say in those situations that would be polite? Now, as British people, I'm referring to myself and the British population, we always apologize, but this is quite a standard rule when complaining. Always apologize first, even though you haven't done anything wrong. But the reason we apologize is because you are recognizing that the person you are complaining to is probably not responsible. So think about it. The waiter, the waitress does not make your food. They are not in charge of your food. They just bring it to you. So what you're doing is kind of saying, I'm sorry that you have to deal with this. I'm sorry that I have to complain to you. You're recognizing that it's not their fault. So I'm sorry, but, and then your complaint. I'm sorry, but the food is cold. I'm sorry, but I didn't order this. I'm really sorry, but we didn't enjoy our food. It was cold and there was too much salt in it. It's just politer to apologize before your complaint. And you're more likely to get what you want if you apologize and are polite to the person you're complaining to. If you just walked up and said the food was cold, you're immediately going to get an angry reaction from the person serving you because you've come to them in an angry, in a hostile way. Whereas if you say, I'm really sorry, but, and then whatever your complaint is, it's much calmer, much nicer, much more polite and respectful. Now, what you can do is add an adjective in here. So I'm sorry to be adjective. I'm sorry to be annoying, because you're recognizing that by complaining, it is annoying to the restaurant, to the waiter, to the waitress, to the chef, because they have to make it again. I'm sorry to be annoying, but the food was cold. You're recognizing that by complaining, you're causing them an issue, you're causing them a problem. It's a polite way of saying, look, I understand this isn't your fault. I understand this is not something you can control, but if you could fix it, I would appreciate it. You could try, sorry to be picky. Now, picky means very specific. So maybe you like your coffee at a very specific temperature and you ordered it at that temperature. Or maybe you asked for a tiny bit of milk in your tea, but there was too much milk in your tea. Or maybe you asked for no sugar and you can tell there's a little bit of sugar. To be picky is to be very specific. So by saying, sorry to be picky, but there's too much sugar in this, could you make it again? Or, sorry to be picky, but this is too hot. Could you add some cold water? Sorry to be picky, but there's not enough milk in my tea. Again, you're recognizing that this is you. This is not their fault. It's not their problem. It's just you. You would prefer it a different way. And trust me, you're much more likely to get what you want without a big dramatic scene or argument if you take the blame. Even if you feel like you're not to blame, you should be able to order something without it being wrong. Yes, I agree with you. But as someone that used to work in restaurants and coffee shops when I was at university, it's a very stressful job and you have many orders to make. So if somebody asks for a small amount of milk in their tea, I might not have enough time to write that down. So the person that makes it ignores that. Or maybe I wrote it down, but they couldn't read my writing. Or maybe I did only put a small amount of tea of milk. But my idea of a small amount is different to your idea of a small amount. So by saying, sorry to be annoying, sorry to be picky, but could you change this? You're much more likely to get what you want. A fantastic one to use in every situation is, I don't want to be rude, but. I don't want to be rude, but the food didn't taste very nice. I don't want to be rude, but the table next to us is very loud and we're trying to have a conversation here. I don't want to be rude, but the food came out cold. Would you mind taking it back for us? I don't want to be rude, but the service wasn't very good. We're not going to leave a tip today. By saying I don't want to be rude, it's kind of ironic because what you're about to say is rude or could be taken as being rude, but you're recognizing that what you're saying could be rude. You're not just outright saying, the service wasn't good, I'm not giving you a tip. But you're saying, look, I know this is uncomfortable. I know this is rude. I know that what I'm about to say is going to upset you, but I feel like I need to say it so that changes can be made in the restaurant. I don't want to be rude, but I asked for no sugar and the waiter put 2 spoons of sugar in my coffee. Most likely the response you're going to get is, oh, we're really sorry about that. Let me make you another one. Oh, sorry to hear that. Let me give you a discount for next time. You're going to get a more positive response if you apologize or say, I don't want to be rude. The next one is a really good one that I like a lot, but you might struggle with the pronunciation. So, I don't want to be a nuisance, but. I don't want to be a nuisance, but my tea was cold. I don't want to be a nuisance, but you only gave us one menu. I don't want to be a nuisance, but the waiter hasn't served us for the last 30 minutes. A nuisance means annoying. It's another way of saying you are causing trouble, you are being annoying. So by saying, I don't want to be a nuisance, you're saying, I don't want to cause you trouble. I don't want to cause you any annoyance in your day, but there's this thing that needs fixing. And again, like the other examples I've given you, you're more likely to get what you want if you word it in this manner. It's very polite, it's very respectful. Now you can use those same phrases, but I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be annoying. I'm not trying to be picky. I'm not trying to be a nuisance. I'm not trying to be rude, but, and whatever it is that you want to complain about. As you can feel, you're saying, I'm not doing this on purpose to cause you a problem, but it's something that I need to let you know about. Or, I hope I'm not being a nuisance. I hope I'm not being annoying. I hope I'm not being rude, but. Again, you're trying to show that this is not something you're intentionally doing. You're not trying to ruin the waiter's day or the waitress's day. You're not trying to leave a bad review for the restaurant, but you have something that you need them to fix. Now, the next few sentences I'm going to give you as a full example, but of course you can take any part of these sentences and mix them with other parts of the sentences. So my first one, excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you, but I wanted to bring to your attention that my food is cold. So excuse me, politely catching the attention. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm sorry that I'm being a nuisance. I'm sorry that I'm being annoying. I'm sorry to disrupt your day. But I wanted to bring to your attention, I wanted you to be aware, I wanted you to know that my food is cold. I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but there seems to be an issue with the cleanliness of my table. Now, this is quite formal. You could just say, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but the table is dirty. Or if you're staying in a hotel, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but the room is not clean. So again, you're saying, I'm sorry. I hope that this isn't going to ruin your day. But this needs fixing. As I said, you're much more likely to get a good response if you word it this way, because you're recognizing that the person you're talking to is not responsible. It's not them that created the mess. I hate to be a bother, but there seems to be something on our bill that we did not order. Could you please check this? I'm sorry to have to say this, but the service I received was not up to par with what I expected. Now, up to par just means at the same level. So you can say, I'm sorry to have to say this, but the service we received today was not at the same level that we expected, or that we had before, or that we got last time we came here. Now, when you say this one, you're most likely to get a question back. Oh, I'm sorry, could you tell me why? So if you say something like this, the service wasn't at the level you expect, be prepared with reasons why. Examples. Last time we got free water with our meal. Last time we were served straight away. This time it took 35 minutes to be served. And the reason you say, I'm sorry to have to say this, is because you are sorry that you're having a bad experience. You wanted the experience to be good, and you are demonstrating to the restaurant, to the cafe, that actually you like coming here and you would come here again. So you're sorry, you feel bad that you didn't have that experience. And the final one today, I think, is again a really nice one. I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but I think there might have been a mistake with my bill. I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but the table next to us is being quite loud. Now, what you're saying is you don't want a big drama, you don't want to cause a big argument, but it's important that somebody maybe looks at this problem. You might say something like this when you're already leaving, when you've already paid and you're leaving the restaurant or the hotel. You didn't complain in the beginning because you didn't want it to be a big deal, but you need the hotel to know so that they can fix it for the next customer. Because, of course, none of us improve without feedback. So we need that feedback in order to improve. Now, you can use any of the examples I gave you in any situation where you need to make a complaint or something isn't right, in a shop, in a restaurant, in a cafe, in a bar. One last thing I'm going to say is be kind to people that work in hospitality. I used to work in hospitality for a long time, and you won't believe the stories that you have. I've been told off for eating before. I was working in a restaurant and I took a lunch break and I got told off for eating, even though I was on my feet 8 hours of the day. So be kind to the people that serve you. If you have a real complaint, a real issue, go to the manager. Don't shout at your waiter or waitress or the receptionist. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and there was something helpful there for you that you can use in any area of your life. Again, you can use this in professional business English as well. If you're unhappy with a client or the service you received from someone you work with, you could say, I'm sorry to have to say this, but unfortunately, we were not happy with the service we received. Let me know in the comments, have you ever had a bad experience in a restaurant or hotel, either as a customer or as someone that worked there? Have a fantastic day, fantastic week, and I will see you in our next video. Bye bye.